you everyone for those comments, for helping me right myself in my life, online and otherwise, and for generally just being so supportive about all of the work that I'm doing and all of the live broadcasting that I am restarting with now. So, in case you haven't met me before, my name is Raven. I am founder of a financial literacy social enterprise. Now, I am so excited to say that this financial literacy social enterprise, which is designed to help you feel more confident about your basic money stuff, is called Money Mind. You can see the website over at moneymind.global, and we have just been featured in Tatler magazine, which I am just so mind blown about. And I'm going to tell you why I'm mind blown, as well as give you 3 lessons that I have learned from being in Tatler. So stay tuned. We're going to cover that as soon as I get my mic sorted out, because I brilliantly decided to put it really low on my lapel where my hair is, which is like, given that I have like over 15 years of experience in media, I should really know better. But I was like, oh no, it's fine there. That will be fine. Yeah, sure, it'll be fine, Raven. Anyhow, so getting right to it. 3 lessons that being in Tatler taught me that you can use, especially if you're a woman, but not necessarily only if you're a woman. So here is the key point of this whole video, and you can stop after hearing this point if you like. But the key point is, whatever you want to really get or achieve in your life as a job, as a role, as a result, aim to serve that point, to serve that purpose. So if you want to get the CEO role, or if you want to get a promotion, or if you want to get the result of being in Tatler, right? Then if that is a dream of yours to one day get, which it was for me, just aim for it and then align with it and say, how can I serve this particular goal? Obviously, given that I was so lucky that the team at Tatler has this incredible section that is called Front and Female. Under the Power and Purpose section, it helps women to live their best lives and grow further into their own success. So fortunately, Tatler has this Power and Purpose Front and Female section now, which is supporting women, and I happen to fit very cleanly into that with financial literacy and social enterprise and being a female entrepreneur. But I didn't know that at the time. Okay, I know Tatler as being a really fabulous, glossy, amazing socialite magazine that I was like, it's kind of like Vogue to me in like business and the city that I'm in and the status that it has. And for me, I was like, okay, that's something that maybe one day I'll be able to aim towards, and maybe one day I will be in Tatler, or I'll have my business in Tatler, or I'll be on a Tatler list. Like maybe one day in my dreams I will achieve that. So if you have something that maybe one day in your dreams you would like to achieve, or you would like to aim towards, maybe one day I'll get that promotion, or I'll become partner, or I'll do whatever it is, please just go ahead and use this as a sign to just aim for it now. Align yourself with what will serve that purpose and go for it. There is nothing to be waiting for. We don't have to be ready. We don't have to be the right fit for the role. We don't have to be super qualified for it. But what we do have to do is think this is possible instead of one day. And here's the thing that's different. We can think, oh, one day maybe I'll achieve that. But what we have to do is act differently to that thought. So actually act counterintuitively to that thought. If we think, oh my gosh, one day I would like to achieve XYZ, then if we are believing that, it will be a hindrance if we act in alignment with that belief. But it is very possible to do a conflicting thing if we can get our minds to wrap itself around that and just say, take the action anyways. So in my case, sorry, I'm just going to adjust this mic because this was a terrible idea with my hair being where it is. So let's see. Okay. Sort it out. So dumb. So in my case, okay, I thought one day maybe I'll end up being in Tatler or getting in Tatler somehow. And I felt really, really intimidated by that idea. So I said, okay, what am I going to do? As soon as I'm getting close to launching my business, I'm going to aim for the biggest whale that is possibly out there in my mind. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to just try and send a submission to Tatler saying, here's how I can serve your audience. Okay, I didn't say, please feature me, I'm cool. I didn't wait for them to notice me. I said, here is specifically how my business will be able to serve your audiences. And if you find that interesting, please let me know. I really just sent that out and I thought, there's almost no chance I'll hear back and I'll probably have to grow my business and start to get more visibility, blah, blah, blah. I thought that it just wouldn't fly. And I did it anyways. So if you want to get that promotion, if you want to become partner, if you want to get into this other role, if you want to get into that fitness program, just try anyways. And what we want to do is we want to do these three things the three lessons that I have learned from being in Tatler, okay? They're advocacy, aiming high, and aiming to serve. Advocacy, aiming high, and aiming to serve. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into these parts and they will tangle together a little bit as usual for my broadcasts. But this all ties in with my mission to help people feel empowered about their lives, change their mindsets, use psychology and behavioral neurohacks to be able to think a little differently and act a little differently and therefore achieve slightly different results and get what they want out of life. And for me, it's using the medium of financial literacy and empowerment with psychology, neurohacks, and just changing the way we think. Because I realize that money is an area that we often stumble upon. And it's an area that we all kind of really care about in some way or other, even if it's just wanting enough money to buy whatever we want or need. It's still very prevalent in our lives. So I realized that money was an area that I could really focus on helping people to start shifting their mindsets because there's so many emotions involved. It's easy to get an eyeline on what it is that scares us, motivates us, or whatever it may be. And in this case, money is tied to this somehow from getting the results that we want in our life, in our happiness, in our jobs, in our careers. So those three lessons being in Tatler taught me that you can use are advocacy, aiming high, and aiming to serve. All right. Now, here's why they are useful and how you can use them in your life. Advocacy. A lot of us, especially as women, as documented in the book, How Women Rise by Sally Helgeson and Marshall Goldstein, a lot of us women will not speak out and say what we want and expect to be noticed. It's one of the 12 ways that we hold ourselves back in our lives, in our careers. If you haven't read that book again is How Women Rise. And it's absolutely excellent if you are ambitious or you're in a job and you want to go further and you feel like you've kind of reached where you are, but you aren't quite sure how to make that next step into the next level. The next level is there. You can totally do it with all of the skills and capabilities that you have right now. You're just doing these things slightly differently, and you can change them as you wish to be able to align with serving the goal that you want in future, which is maybe to be partner, which is maybe to be in a pay rise or CEO or found your own business, whatever it is. This book will help you to get over those hurdles that you may not have even realized are there. And advocacy is a big, big one of them. So number one of the three lessons that being in Tatler taught me is advocacy is a really, really big thing for us, especially as women. We need to speak out. We need to say, I want this. I want to be in Tatler. I'm going to try and tell Tatler that I want to be in Tatler. If I'm in a law firm and I want to become partner, I'm going to try and tell other people in the firm, I want to become partner. This is my goal. I want to become manager. I want to become CEO. I want to rise up to this level. What do I have to do to get there? And actually say it in a strategic way. Of course, we're not going to be like, la, la, la. You're just like telling everybody for no reason. We have to be specific, and we have to be able to say, this is what I want. This is why I want it. How do I get there? And look at the people who are already in positions that we want and see what they did and see how to adjust our actions, our overall presence, and our behaviors to align with that, and see what purpose or what like results they are serving. Are they serving the result of more efficiency? If they are like the CEO, do they need to make things run smoothly and successfully? They're serving that result. So what result are you serving in your life today? And what result do you want to be serving? Because if you just look at it like, oh, I'm just getting a paycheck and I want to rise to this position for the prestige and for this and for that, what are you giving back? What are you actually doing to deserve that promotion? Because if you don't think about that question, it doesn't have to be like, oh, you're just sort of giving without any boundaries whatsoever, but you do need to be precisely serving that role and the results that that role demands. And so you need to advocate yourself while also asking the third part, which is, how do I serve that role? But advocating is really saying, I'm going to give myself a shot. I'm going to try for this position. I'm going to try and aim high, and I'm going to do what I can to make sure that people know and make sure that I take action that aligns with that role, even if I don't believe I'm ready for it right now. Because if it is something that I am completely unsuitable for, it's unlikely that I will get a look in the position. But what I have to do is I have to keep advocating for myself. I need to keep saying, I want this for myself, and I will keep pushing and failing forward and moving in that direction until I eventually get there. So what we want to do is get there, and we want to make sure that we are taking action that keeps us pushing at that role and keeps us moving in that direction, while also keeping in mind, if I'm not in that role right now, there is a possibility that I may not be serving the results. I may not know how to serve the results, or I may not be quite right for that role in some way. How do I become right? How do I serve better? How do I get that slight change in whether it's my behavior, whether it's my mindset, whether it's just my overall presence or how I behave? Like, do I complain a lot? Is it something that is a bad habit that I have that I don't realize that I have, and it actually holds me back because maybe I'm considered more of a gossip than a leader? Like, is there anything in my behavior or in my actions that makes me less likely to be a fit with the result? Focus on the result and focus on advocating for yourself. I want to be in that position. Use it to ask other people how you can get in that position, right? If you're advocating for yourself and you're saying, I want blah, then you can use that to leverage, how do you think I can move towards that goal? Especially if you're asking your manager or other people who might be able to give you useful advice. Don't ask people that are not going to be able to give you constructive advice, but ask people who are ahead of you in the game. How do I get there? Ask people who've already been there or are passing that point. Okay, so that's advocacy. Advocating for ourselves is really, really important, especially as women. And if you haven't read the book, How Women Rise, it is a really, really good one for anyone who is ambitious in a career or just wants to move forward from the job that they're in now and may not realize they have some habits that hold them back, including things like not advocating for ourselves, expecting to be noticed, not speaking up, not being succinct or articulate about our points, taking on all the work instead of having only strategic boundaries. There's 12 major habits that hold women back in this book, and I highly recommend it. So go ahead and read that if you'd like. Now, the second point on the 3 lessons being in Tatler taught me is to aim high and fail forward. So if you want to be CEO or you want to be whatever position you want to be, aim high, aim for what it is that the end goal is. Recognize the steps along the way, but really just aim for that. How does that person as a study behave? How do they act? What do they do in their day? Can I tweak my day to be a little bit more like their day? Even if it's just in the office, I have to do completely different things to this person, but what do they do outside of their time that I admire? Are they waking up really early? Are they exercising more? Do they eat better than I do? Like, what is it that the CEOs that you admire and want to be like are doing? How are they living? How are they being? Because all of the little things that they do in their life lead them to that result of being that person who can be a CEO and can learn how to do whatever they're doing, but also importantly, keep doing it. Right? They have the habits, but they also have these sustaining habits that mean that they're not going to, like burn themselves out completely by working like way too hard on projects they don't need to. They're going to focus their time and energy on getting results and doing a CEO role. So that's one of the really important lessons that being in Tatler and success taught me in this area, at least in success in achieving this particular goal, is to aim high. I thought, oh my gosh, I will never be in Tatler. I am not cool. I have no cool. Tatler's for cool people, and there's just no way that I will end up in this magazine. I can dream about it, but it's just not going to happen. And I took action that was conflicting with that anyways. I didn't think that much more about it. I just thought, if I feel really uncomfortable and like I'm not worthy of this, that is just a thought that's attached to an emotion in my mind, and I'm going to behave the opposite way. That's just something that in my mind I've started to implement in my life, because I just feel like I don't want to let that feeling have all the space. So I'm going to have that feeling that maybe I'm not worthy of this, or I'm not cool enough to be in Tatler, or all my judgments, right? Which is very natural to have. And I'm going to put that there and recognize that it's there. I'm going to put action on top of that. Because really, if this like negative, unworthy belief thought wants to have space, fine. You can have space in my thoughts. And because you're taking up so much space in my thoughts, I'm going to take a powerful action as well. Like, it's like fairness. You get that space in my thoughts. I get this counterbalancing space in my actions. And the thing that I found throughout my life of doing different versions of this is that the actions always get the results and the thoughts don't. I mean, this is a very different version of what I was talking about yesterday, where your thoughts will lead to your beliefs and your habits, and that will cause results in your life. It's a slightly different way of doing this. It's saying that even if you believe something, you can act opposite to that belief sometimes in certain instances in order to achieve something different to what that belief might be leading you to think is possible. So, for example, I have this belief I am not worthy and this is not going to happen for me because I'm not cool enough to be in Tatler. And I take an action to say, hey guys, just in case I can help serve your audiences in this way, just letting you know. And Tatler actually said, that is a good service to our audience and we would like to write about it. So that's why I now have an article in Tatler about my business, Money Mind, which is financial literacy, social enterprise. And it's so amazing and just such an honor for me to have that recognized in that way for the service that it offers. But if I had just let the belief take up all the space, there's no way I would have gotten that. Not now, not at this point, not 2 days after my business has launched, okay? So this was a really big thing for me, and a really big reminder and lesson that aiming high is really important, especially if we have undeserving thoughts. Because this undeserving thought will take up this space, and I'm going to say, actually, I'm going to also look after myself, self-support, and have my own back. Okay, so we can have unsupportive thoughts and have our own backs. We can do both, okay? And the action will definitely have more impact on our life in that instance, because now that action got a result and proved this thought wrong. And now suddenly that thought cannot come up as strongly in my mind anymore. And that's how we start to erode these unhelpful thoughts in our minds and in our lives overall. Hi, Peter. Thanks for joining. I'm just talking today about 3 lessons that being in Tatler taught me that you can use. The first one is advocacy, advocating for yourself, for the role that you want to be in, and for yourself getting to that point. Aiming high and making sure that you aim high, fail forward, and give it a go. Even if you don't believe that you are worthy of it or able to get it, try anyways. Why not? If you have thoughts that are one way, you can counterbalance them by saying, I'm going to take a different action and do it anyways. We are totally able to do that anytime, any day. And number 3 is serve. Ask how we can serve that role. Ask how we can serve that purpose, and really aim towards the serving goal. Now, there's a concept called servant leadership, and that is something like serving from within, which is a really nice concept of saying, how can I serve as a leader in my role? How can I serve the entire team and the entire organization as best I can? And I believe that this is a really great success hack and success tip that is well covered in the book from Adam Grant called Give and Take. It's about givers, takers, and matchers, and I will be doing a broadcast on that topic at some point. But the point is that Adam Grant talks about how you have givers, takers, and matchers in terms of reciprocity styles. And the leaders that are the most successful long term are actually the givers who end up having and developing really strong boundaries to serve the purpose, right? So in my past experience, I was a boundaryless giver. I was a mess and I would give too much and I was just too generous, but I didn't have boundaries. I would be an overgiver. Like I'd feel like I had to give to make people want to like me. And it was like just giving from insecurity is like a really uncomfortable place to be. And it actually occurs for quite a lot of us, especially if we are in a position of like being mothers or being support for other people quite a lot. But givers are rarer than matchers in the workplace, which is where a lot of people are, where they say, okay, look, I'll help you, you help me, we'll both win. Right? But the downside of being a matcher is that sometimes we can struggle with asking for a favor because then we feel like we'll owe them, right? So if you can start shifting towards more like serving mindsets and thinking, how can I serve this role? How can I serve my team? And use the service strategically. So you're not just giving it for the sake of like giving, right? You're giving because it serves the purpose for the team, for your colleagues as a whole, for the organization. Like this benefits everyone, and I can make this happen. So that is something that is really important for us to notice, because if we are a giver, we can sometimes struggle with our boundaries, and we need to clean that up in order to be able to move forward with success and serve more people. Okay? That boundary line means that we can reach wider and help more. So that's why we need to have better boundaries, right? It's like if you work at a charity, you can't give away all your money to the people at the charity, because otherwise you'll have no money and you'll have to become a charity case. So you have to have boundaries where you don't spend all your money on that, but you do find ways to help money come into those people by advocating for them, right? Aiming high, asking big banks and other people to give to that charity, and then serving those people by continuing to do that and to be of service. So if you are a giver, you need to clean up your boundaries. If you're a matcher, to achieve success. If you are a matcher, then it's good to see if you can be comfortable adopting any giver traits in order to just serve you and everyone a little bit better and not feel so hindered by only being able to ask for something if you feel like you're able to repay the favor. And takers just need to clean up their acts, man. It's just how it is, right? It's just in their favor to get ahead if they are able to shift towards more of a matcher mindset or even a giver. I mean, like I know people who were takers and have learned this so well that they're now taker giver behavior people. So they're a taker person and they behave like a giver in almost everything. And it's crazy. The impact that they have is absolutely huge because they have no problem asking because they're naturally like a taker. They have no problem taking, but they're like, I will take and we will share. And so their community is just so loyal and so huge and just so grateful and they love them. And like, it's a really great place to be and a really great example of how takers can actually move towards being more matcher or giver types to serve their own life and become just generally happier, better, like more benefited and benefit others at the same time. Like it's really crazy because you'd think that it's counterintuitive. You'd think you'd need to just like, if you want to get something, you need to get it and keep it. But the reality is that if you get it and you then say, share it with others, you're suddenly way more powerful because you got all those others that you're helping and they're on your side because you're helping them, right? So then they're like, oh wow, you're like really helpful, like we like you and we'll advocate and vouch for you. Then when you need a promotion, those people are like, promote her, she will look after us. And this is a reason why takers sometimes fall in the success chain in their careers, because as they go along in the beginning, they can fight their way ahead. But they get to the middle and people start saying, no, I don't want to work for that person. No, we don't want to support their promotion. No, they're only in it for themselves and they won't look after the company. Like you won't get as far. And if you do get far, your life will just not be as nice. And if you're okay with that, then that's totally cool. You can be however you want, man. Like all of us can. But if you want to have a little bit more happiness, fulfillment, and success, the way to do it is by serving and being of service. And it's important to know our reciprocity style. You can go over to adamgrant.com or adamgrant.net, the author of Give and Take, or you can type in Adam Grant Give and Take quiz and find out what your reciprocity style is. It will just be a quick quiz and you do it and you'll find out whether you're more of a giver, taker, or matcher. And then you can decide how to proceed from there, right, for the best results. But my point in this 3 lessons being in Tatler has taught me that you can use. 1, advocacy is really important. Saying what you want and why you want it and going for it, advocating for yourself, for your team, for your company, for that role is really important. Number 2, aiming high. Aim high and just keep going in that direction, because as you keep going, even if you're failing forward, you're still going to develop new skills or new abilities that are a step closer than where you were. Even just leaning in that direction means you're a little bit closer, right? Number 3, serving. Aiming to serve or be of service. This is important because it means that we are both in a position to be able to serve the results of that role and also serve the others who are in our team. I'm only saying behind because of the fact that my hands don't fit in the screen if I go outwards. But obviously you would want to be within a group of people, just one of the people within this big group, kind of like an atom and like nebulous, but you're not really like the nucleus. You're one of the most important points, okay? You're like one of the electrons floating around. A lot of us will think that as a boss or as a leader or as a manager, we have to be like the nucleus and everything has to kind of revolve around us in order for us to lead or be successful or blah, blah, blah. But the point is that that's not really how it works. That's how it seems to work based on like what we see on the surface on Instagram and on other things like that, where you just see the swan and it's like la 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 and it's like under the surface. So the reality is that under the surface, what we want to be doing as leaders is we have the company, the goal or the result is the center point, not us. None of this is about us, okay? This is about service. This is about the goal. This is about the result. The result is the nucleus, not us. We are not in the center of a team. We are one of the electrons of the team. And that can be just as important as being any of the other electrons, even if we are in a more dominant position, like H2O, right? It's really important to be the H. Okay, so without it, it doesn't work. You can't have the two O's need to be involved with the H in order for that to be H2O. Otherwise, it's just oxygen. It's something completely different. So while you may not be that center point, you are still a really important and valuable part of this whole process. And to be of service, you need to stay, you need to serve, and you need to do what you need to do. You need to be hydrogen, man. You got to do your thing, doing hydrogen thing. You got to not do oxygen thing. Oxygen's got that. You have good oxygen people doing oxygen. You're hydrogen and H2O, you got to do like the I'm hydrogen, doing my hydrogen thing. You got to be the leader, be the boss, make those decisions, live that result, and serve that purpose. You got to serve the hydrogen purpose. I don't know if anybody understands this analogy or if I'm even getting it right because I did chemistry so long ago, but you get kind of what I'm saying, right? You got to do the role that you are doing and want to be doing and are aiming for doing, but you got to be that CEO. You got to be that leader. You've got to be that person who applies to Tatler and gets into Tatler because you ask how you can serve their audiences, right? It's not just, I'm cool, put me in Tatler. I'm sure that there are people who are really cool who get into Tatler for being really cool. And frankly, they are very cool. I know a lot of these people and they're like legit really cool, like really great business people or really great at what they do. The fact is that a lot of these people who are showcased as having success are living the service of those results. So another friend who was on the cover of Tatler one time, they were a phenomenal hotel chain owner. And, lovely person, blah, 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 blah. But every single day of their life, they have to spend it being that person. How do they spend their time? How do they spend their exercise time? How do they spend their office hours? You, me, and Beyonce, we have the same amount of hours in every day. How do you want to be spending it? How does she spend it? Who has the results that you want? And how can you align your current behavior and your thoughts with what they're doing? So, Natalie Bacon is a podcast that I listen to every morning because she does life coaching, online business coaching, and money mindset coaching, which I super love. Obviously, my business is called Money Mind, and the website is moneymind.global, where we talk about financial literacy and all kinds of mindset hacks and neuroscience and stuff like that in a like less intense way. You just walked in nail driver into the middle of H2O. So anyhow, if you want to have insights into your money mindsets, we have free samplers over at moneymind.global. But the point was, all of us have the same amount of time and the same amount of hours. And Natalie Bacon has a podcast on Apple Podcasts, whatever, that she talks about alter egos. So you can look up Natalie Bacon alter ego. Sounds a bit crazy, but she talks about how sometimes if we want to achieve different results and we're not really comfortable pushing towards it consistently, we can try adopting an alter ego. So say if we wanted the results of Beyonce, which I don't because I'm not a singer or a pop star, but if I was a singer or a pop star and I wanted to get some results like Beyonce, I would ask, what would Beyonce do right now? In her time, in her day, at her desk, managing her stuff, what would Beyonce do and how would she do it? Would she flick back and forth? Would she be really focused? Research it. She's a public figure. You can probably find out Beyonce's desk routine, how she does management. You can probably find out a lot about the people that are like kind of celebrity or known people that we know a lot of about. How does Marie Forleo do something? How does Victoria Beckham? For some reason, Victoria Beckham like comes into my mind. I don't know if that's just because I'm like really old, but I think I remember when I was like a kid seeing her in like the Spice Girls and thinking, this person does nothing, but she's in the Spice Girls. So she must be super amazing in some ways that are not visible or audible or audible to us as an audience. And I was so suddenly like, well, not suddenly, but I was really intrigued because let's be honest, I'm sorry, Victoria Beckham, but she couldn't sing, she couldn't dance, she didn't seem like she seemed quite cool, and she just stood around saying nothing and posing and kind of doing a little bit of voice in the background. But you're a singer in a pop band who can't sing or dance. That's insane. And she has subsequently gone on to become one of the more successful, visible Spice Girls who's still around. Like, she married the Beckham guy. She has her own designer brand. She is still very successful in business, but she's still more visible than the other Spice Girls, even though like Jerry Halliwell is married to the Christian Horner, the Formula One team manager. It's still less visibility than Victoria Beckham has managed to maintain in the long run. And that was the person who was the least talented in the whole group. So her superpower was invisible, but I could Google like her behaviors. I have her book. Like, it's crazy. I was like, this is so fascinating because you can only get so far with the shortcuts, right? If you are able to, like, get ahead through your connections or get ahead from doing whatever you're going to do, it will only get you so far. And then you're in it. You got to keep going. You got to maintain it, which is why it's so amazing when you see people who like have this long-term ongoing success, because that's on you. You got to be able to sustain it. It's easy enough to become like one hit wonder or whatever it is and then kind of vanish and not be able to maintain it over 10-20 years. If you look at people like maybe Gwyneth Paltrow or like Madonna or like a lot of these other people, Reese Witherspoon, I recently read an interview. She is amazing. She sold her company for like $1 billion, and it's specifically a production company that focuses on female-centric films. And she really pushed for that price, and she's an incredible businesswoman. This is the chick from Legally Blonde. So you don't get to like be famous and Legally Blonde and then build a company and sell it for $1 billion based on connections or other people's stuff. That's you. So what do we want to do to align with the us we want to be? And I don't want to be Reese Witherspoon or Victoria Beckham, but if we are using a kind of alter ego, we can take elements of that and say, how much does Victoria Beckham exercise? I actually super admire and like that she exercises twice a day. I think that that would be quite good for me in terms of stress management. Like if I went to like Pilates and then sat on my rowing machine gently, I don't need to, but I kind of admire it. And I'm sure that she would exercise like a crazy amount because she's, just a fitness fanatic. But I don't have to aim for that. But I do have to ask when I'm sitting on the rowing machine and I don't feel like it, like, what would Victoria Beckham do? She would get on with it. Okay, Victoria Beckham would get on with it. She's Victoria Beckham, right? And I have to think of myself that way because when I'm sitting on the rowing machine, like, first thing in the morning, I'm like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, God. Those thoughts, ignore. Action, Victoria Beckham. She would just do it. She wouldn't even have those thoughts. I'm like, don't even have those thoughts. Victoria Beckham would just get on with it. So I listened to my podcast about alter egos from Natalie Bacon. I listen to success podcasts and I just get on with it, right? Regardless of how I'm feeling, regardless of what I'm thinking, I know that cleaning up our mindsets is a continual process. But in this 3 lessons being in Tatler has taught me that you can use, right? We've spoken about advocacy, aiming high, and aiming to serve. Advocating for yourself, saying, this is what I want, and I'm going to go for it. You can do it now. You can do it today. This is your message saying, do it, try. Why not? You don't have to believe in yourself. You just have to aim to be able to say, I'm going to aim high, advocate for myself, aim high, and say, I'm going to try. Because why not? I'm going to take the action and try. I'm going to apply to that job. I'm going to go for that role. I'm going to just stretch a little further than I'm comfortable with, even if my mind is saying, oh, you couldn't possibly do that. Take the action anyways and aim to serve. How can you serve the results of that role? How can you serve the results that are like, this is CEO level results? This is online business entrepreneur 7-figure income results. I listen so closely to Natalie Bacon and how she talks about her daily routine that she films on Mondays, that she blocks it together. Those things that are, this isn't a pre-record black ring. Those things that she does in her mind, in her day, that she has figured out on her journey to become a 7-figure business owner on online business, I want to know, right? I want to know what actions she is taking, whether or not I believe I can do them or not. I'm like, oh, okay, let's see what she actually does, like what behaviors she takes. And it's not necessarily always like, I want to achieve the most big thing ever. I want to see it in the distance and ask, what is the next step I can take right now from where I am right now? Like, I don't need to be like Victoria Beckham today because I'm going to die. Okay. I can't exercise twice a day and go Pilates and go rowing and everything. Like, I don't have the stamina, but I can think, what would Victoria Beckham do? And then take a step in that direction when I come up against my old self that doesn't want to do stuff. So that's a way that we can aim to use an alter ego to ask how we can behave more like that character, because she would serve that goal and those results of getting that exercise, being the head of her company, running those businesses, and having the energy to be able to do all of that stuff while still having a life and kids and family and things like that. Like, that's pretty amazing to me. And I think she was in mind for me because of the fact that, you know, I saw her when I was younger and she's still around. And it's just, I just find it quite impressive, like the things that she has done. And I think because she was there from when I was younger, it's more pertinent in my mind, right? So think of someone that you really want to be like, whether it's Sheryl Sandberg in your business, whether it's a partner in a law firm. It doesn't have to be a celebrity. It could just be anyone that you can get a lot of information on to be able to mimic and have an alter ego that when you don't want to do something or when you slip back into old habits, think, what would that person do, right? If you want to get really fit, what would that really fit person that you want to be like? You know, what would they eat? What would they do? How would they behave? And you don't have to do this all the time, but sometimes it's still better than none of the time, right? And that will help us to move forward towards our goals. So, as I mentioned today, I am so blessed and honored that Tatler has written an article about my financial literacy social enterprise that launched over the weekend. If you want to go check it out, it's over at moneymind.global, and it is designed to help empower people to feel a bit more confident about their position, get to know themselves and their money management in their own money life, because I feel like this is an area that has been made to seem really, really complicated, and a lot of us kind of miss the basics. So it's an area that, you know, I feel like if we have a really good foundation in the basics, we can make the next decisions from there. So thank you so much. Live interaction is like, this is like religious evangelism. Yes. Yes, it is. I am evangelical about empowerment and financial literacy and people achieving more in their life, which frankly, I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally okay with like being super evangelical about it. I'm like, yay, achieve more, do well, enjoy your life, have a great time. So yeah, super cool with me. So in summary of my 3 lessons being in Tatler taught me that you can use, advocate for yourself. Go ahead, take those steps and go for what you want. Aim high. Whatever it is that you think that you may be a little bit stretching for, do it. Aim for it. Try for it. Because even if you fail, you can find out why you failed. You can find out how you could do better. You can find out information that you can then use to take a step closer to that goal and then try again. Aim high. Serve. Ask how you can serve the results that the people that you want to be like are getting. How can you serve? How can you serve your team to be better? How can you serve your company to achieve more? How can you serve to cut costs or make savings or have more efficiency? How can you serve in your life to achieve the results that you want to achieve by aiming for serving those results, right? So it is up to you to apply this how you like. Arthritic Cricket, oh gosh, your name, Arthritic Cricket, has left a message that is very fixed mindset. And I do understand that there are challenges in life that we all have to overcome in different ways, and life is not fair. You can listen to some Natalie Bacon mindset podcasts over on Apple, Apple Podcasts or something like that. But fixed and growth mindsets are definitely something that we'll be talking about a lot over the course of the coming broadcasts with moneymind.global and on all of our live broadcasts, because how we think about things is how we will experience them, and how things are is just how we are. And if things are how they are, and we find that we have a lot of negative emotions about how we are, how they are, we just feel crap, right? So we can work with what we have. We can work with our goals, our dreams, our abilities as we have them right now. We don't need to aim to be Beyonce. We don't need to aim to be Victoria Beckham. All we need to do is know that we have the power to be able to aim where we want and work towards the next step in our life from today, taking those steps. That's all we can do. That's all any of us can do. So thank you so much for watching today, everybody. I will write a blog about this on my blog, moneymind.global, and you can go check it out there. You can see our Instagram, where we're starting to post a few more hacks and things in shorter format. And this is a summary of 3 lessons being in Tatler taught me that you can use: advocacy, aiming high, and serving the results, aiming to serve. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been a pleasure to see you, and I look forward to broadcasting next week. I'm getting my booster shot today, so hopefully I will not feel too terrible. Take care, everyone. See you next week. Bye.